Adam Peters just moved the biggest piece on the board. Brandon Aiyuk, Jaden Daniels' college teammate, could be heading to D.C., and CBS Sports already put it in black and white. But that is not all, because Washington's draft finished first in the entire NFL in capital value, and there is a third-round receiver with the exact same profile Terry McLaurin had when he arrived in Ashburn. Raise hail and hit that like button if you trust Adam Peters' process. Listen, the Commanders just walked out of the draft, and the honest conversation inside that Ashburn war room probably sounded something like, do we have enough firepower around Jaden Daniels? And the real answer, after looking at Washington's current receiver room, is not quite yet. Terry McLaurin is elite. We know, but he just turned 31. Deebo Samuel, who led the team with 72 catches and 727 yards last season, is still unsigned. Treylon Burks, 10 catches, 130 yards in 8 games. Luke McCaffrey, 11 catches, 203 yards. That is not a receiving course that takes you to a Super Bowl. And Adam Peters knows it. That is exactly where Brandon Aiyuk enters the picture. CBS Sports put it plainly, the Commanders should make this move, and the argument is airtight. When Aiyuk is healthy, he is one of the best receivers on the planet. His 2023 season was absurd. 75 catches, 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns. A weapon of mass destruction for any quarterback who can read him correctly. Now here's the part that puts Washington fans in a position of leverage. The 49ers are desperate. John Lynch said publicly they are not planning to release him, but in the same breath confirmed they are open to a trade. Bro, that is exactly what someone says when they have zero leverage. San Francisco had a disastrous year. Their cap is strangled, and Aiyuk missed the entire 2025 season after tearing his ACL and MCL back in October of 2024. And here is the detail that has me locked in. Aiyuk and Jaden Daniels are former college teammates. Arizona State, they already know each other's game. You are not integrating a stranger into the system. You are reuniting two guys who already have that chemistry built in. The issue, if you can even call it an issue, is the leverage game. The Commanders know San Francisco will eventually have to let him go. San Francisco knows Washington wants him, so both teams are in this post-draft Cold War, waiting for the other side to blink first. And my position is clear. Washington should not blink. Wait, let the 49ers drown in their own cap situation. If Aiyuk hits free agency, Washington scoops him. If a trade is necessary, do not overpay because she is coming off a major knee surgery and has not played in 12 months. Look, I could be wrong. Maybe San Francisco finds a different buyer. Maybe Aiyuk demands a contract that blows up Washington's cap structure. But the logic of this move is too clean to ignore. Jaden Daniels with McLaurin and Aiyuk on the field at the same time is a combination that NFC East cornerbacks have nightmares about. Think about the spacing. Think about the reads that open up underneath. Think about how that frees the run game, how that takes pressure off the offensive line on passing downs. If Adam Peters makes this move, the Commanders go from serious playoff team to legitimate Super Bowl threat, and I believe Peters sees it exactly that way. The question is just when he pulls the trigger. Tell me in the comments, what would you give up for Aiyuk? Is the injury risk worth it? I want to read your takes down there. Okay, now that the Aiyuk situation is on the table, let us talk about the draft itself. Because look, something about this bothers me just a little, and I have got to say it. National media always sleeps on the Commanders until they absolutely cannot anymore. And this weekend, even the biggest skeptics had to tip their cap. Mel Kiper gave Washington a B. Warren Sharp gave them an A. Pro Football Focus gave them an A-. Yahoo Sports, Sports Illustrated, The Ringer, all between B+ and A. And the unanimous starting point for every single grade was the same. Sonny Styles at pick number 7 was a straight-up steal. Keeper had him 4th on his board, 4th, and he slid all the way to 7 because the Chiefs moved up to grab Mansour Delane at 6. Washington just sat there calm and watched one of the best prospects in the entire class fall right into their lap. That is not luck. That is Adam Peters trusting the process and refusing to panic. Warren Sharp went further than anyone in his analysis, and honestly, his take is the most honest of all. Washington finished number 1 in the entire NFL in draft capital over expected. Not second, not fifth, number 1 with only 6 picks. That is the level of efficiency we're talking about here. How did they do it? Joshua Josephs in the 5th round was taken at pick 147. When he was projected to go in the 70s, Katron Allen in the 6th round went at pick 186 when models had him going at 130. Matt Gulbin, the center out of Michigan State, went at 208 when evaluators expected him around 168. Pick after pick, the Commanders extracted value from spots nobody else was looking at. Now here is where I put on my critical hat, because I know some of you are going to debate this. There is a legitimate discomfort in this draft class. Washington gave up their 2nd and 4th round picks for the Laramie Tunsil trade, and even though Tunsil signed an extension, that pick debt still stings. Kuiper pointed out that Washington could not add a single cornerback in the entire draft, despite losing multiple veterans this spring and Trey Amos coming off injury. That is a real gap. What happens if there is an injury avalanche in the secondary during the season? That is a question Adam Peters is going to have to answer, and he better have a plan. Pro Football Focus also flagged something that deserves more attention. Matt Gulbin, the 6th round center, could realistically be the starting center by the end of his rookie season. If that is true, we are talking about one of the best value finds in the entire draft, not just for Washington, but across the whole league. The verdict for this fan base should be clear. Adam Peters is playing chess while other front offices are playing checkers. No drama, no ego picks, no reaching because a position was needed. There was strategy, discipline, and value extracted at every single level of this draft. And while we are on the draft, there is one detail that most fans are completely sleeping on when it comes to Antonio Williams, and it deserves a real moment because this overlap is genuinely interesting. Williams was taken in the 3rd round, pick 71 out of Clemson. McLaurin was taken in the 3rd round, pick 76. Back in 2019, almost identical draft position, almost identical profile of a 3rd round gem who slid because of circumstances completely outside his control. With McLaurin, it was the Ohio State system that scouts sometimes undervalued for receiver development. With Williams, it was an injury-wrecked 2025 season inside a Clemson offense that struggled collectively. That was not skill regression, that was context. In 2024, this kid had 75 receptions, 904 yards, and 11 touchdowns, 11 at Clemson, which is not exactly the most receiver-friendly system in college football, and he already has something McLaurin had coming in, reliable hands and real production after the catch. 331 of his 604 yards last season came after securing the football. That is a separator. That tells you the kid is a weapon with the ball in space, not just a route runner who catches and falls down. Can he be the next McLaurin? Honestly, nobody knows yet, but the comparison has a real foundation. It is not just poetry, and if Jaden Daniels can build with Williams what he already has with McLaurin, that Washington receiver room suddenly has way more depth than people are currently giving it credit for. Look, this is the Washington Commanders of 2026, a draft executed with surgical precision, a Brandon Aiyuk move that could be about to explode, and a rookie class with the potential to change the identity of this team for the next 3 years. Y'all don't understand. This is not the same Washington. This organization is building something real, something that lasts. If this video fired you up as much as it fired me up, drop that like right now. And tell me in the comments, does Brandon Aiyuk need to come to DC, or is the injury risk too much? Raise hail, fam. See you in the next one.